Welcome back to season 2 of True Print for Life. I'm your host, Christina Vera, and today I'm really excited to have a co-host with me, someone who I have admired for many years for so many reasons, and today you will also get to hear why. Today we have Darsy Amaya as my co-host. Darsy, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm actually a big fan of yours as well.
Oh, well, thank you, Darsy. And I've known Darsy for well over 10 years. So right before we started filming, we were just thinking back to just the journey. And Darsy has had such an incredible journey. And I think it's really powerful when you get to meet people who have not only gone through things in life, but have made it their mission to serve others in that space and in a very intentional and very meaningful ways. And so today we're going to learn more about Darsy and the work that she does. Before we jump right in, though, I do want to give you a brief overview of Darsy because she does a lot of amazing things, and I could be here all day just even reading her amazing bio, which we'll be able to include her link in our social media posts. But Darsy Amaya is a visual artist and entrepreneur, jewelry designer. Her jewelry, by the way, is fire. Known for metal and gemstone designs showcased during Fashion Week finale runway show in 2019. Darsy is a certified healthcare interpreter and core staff member of the Department of Language Services at Nationwide Children's Hospital since 2004. I keep forgetting that you just do so many things. I keep forgetting about that.
A lot of people forget that I hold a kind of a full-time job. Yeah.
We're going to have to talk about that because it's always this conversation of how do I go after both? Yes. And there's this misconception that you can't, but people like you, 2004,
almost 20 years.
Yeah, so it's totally possible. She is also a Reiki master and a polarity practitioner with 15 years of experience in holistic practices. Darsy combines conventional methods and holistic services such as counseling, working in collaboration with licensed professional counselors, and she conducts energy healing sessions. She opened her first design studio in 2017 and founded White Canvas Designs and Holistic Wellness with her mother and sister. In 2022, Darsy opened a retail store at the Shops on 3rd Street, downtown Columbus, Ohio, along with local and regional designers. With the support of Il Moda Brands, Columbus Fashion Council, and the Columbus Downtown Development Corporation, Darsy is a proud Latina Mentoring Academy alumni Cycle 2. That's right. And that's been almost 20 years, I think. 20 years in the making. No, the LMA is on their fifth. I don't even know what cycle they're on.
15.
15th cycle.
I think it's I'm choking on my water here.
Oh, you're fine. The committee advises, she's now serving on the Roy G. Biv
Gallery Committee.
Wonderful. The committee advises Roy about the trends and concerns and opportunities facing the artist community. She provides strategy and insight about programs that would help advance Roy emerging artists. Darsy is humbled and honored to serve in the community on the Dress for Success program committee. She's an active member of American Polarity Therapy Association. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Miss Darsy Amaya.
Thank you so much. I was actually choking on my water. I am so sorry.
That always happens in the most awkward ways. I hate going into meetings and then it's you haven't coughed in 3 days, but you're going to cough right now.
I'm I just took a little tiny sip of water. I didn't want to make a noise. And then the cough started. So I apologize.
No, I think after COVID too, I feel now I'm don't you dare cough. Don't sneeze. Don't even look like you're not healthy because now there's this this is attention, alertness. And so I know in the work that you do, Darsy, it's a lot of, you do so many amazing things. And I think your energy work is something that a lot of people are just learning about. So can you share with us a little bit about just your journey and really how did you get in this space? Just this art, because you're an artist and your art is in multiple ways. And so can you share with us a little bit about where that inspiration comes from?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for welcoming me. I think you're the first person who has read my entire biography.
It was so good.
I actually shortened it to the main points as to what I'm doing like right now in this specific moment in time. Yes, I've always been involved in a lot of things, but as you know, I have to be passionate about that, and I have to believe in the mission of others, and I have to feel that I share the same mission and passion with people I work with. I do give a lot of my time, but I'm very exclusive as to who I give it to. And that's something that I learned very, very early in my, I want to say, career or journey. The reason why, it's because, yes, I do hold a full-time, part-time job. I work Monday to Thursday at Nationwide Children's Hospital. Extremely proud to work for the core team at the Language Services Department. And to your question, that's what actually led me to seek out holistic methods. I work with conventional providers, and I interpret firsthand bad news all the time. You know, I'm working with families and children. And when you are, I feel like the interpreting, it's also a service job.
Yeah.
Because there's so many jobs that we could be doing out there, and whatever money we can compensate, it can never compensate the stress and the edgy emotions and mood we can sometimes face. And way back, I started different departments, meaning close to home. I did a phone operator and then phone services. I landed emergency room when my kids were little, and I did Friday, Saturday, Sundays. It was a 32-hour shift, emergency room only, from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And it was the only way I could pretty much take care of my kids, take them to school, pick them up. And I just got worn out. Like I got numb. I would come in and deliver news with like unplugging babies, you know, and parents having to make that decision and interpreting nonstop. I just go to the parking lot and just think about, you know, question like, this family is so great. Why? You know? And half of the time it happens to the best people ever. And you wonder, oh my God, why is this happening to them? They're so good. They're so kind. You know, so with that, I just, I met someone at the emergency room who was very into stones. And she was actually the person that led me to learn more about Reiki and polarity. And this is 2009. So I was mainly doing it for myself. And with the years, I practiced so much on me, and it worked. And I just felt like now it's time to share that wisdom and those gifts with others that are going through the same thing.
Wow. I mean, even in that, you said so much, because it's to be able to be in industries where you're serving other people, especially sometimes at some of the most vulnerable points of their life, that work is heavy. And I find that a lot of people typically don't recognize how much of that weight that they carry with them. And so even thinking through, like, how have you, because even the work that you're doing presently and helping people, whether it's energy work or, you know, with the other services that you offer, like, how do you go about keeping your energy and your body and your mind in a space that you can provide the service, but then it's not affecting you to where you are now carrying all of this baggage that doesn't belong to you?
I think every work has to be of service. When you are clear about, you know, being here in this world to serve. I'm not a religious person, but I kind of compare it to Jesus. You know, he just came here to serve. And so whatever work he did, it was never really a burden. You know, it was just something he felt like he needed to do. And I feel like everyone that's at service kind of represents that, you know, that I want to say characteristic, you know, of Jesus-like. Not like we are like him, but we follow, you know, those traits. It gets a little overwhelming, but when you realize that if you don't do it, then who else? You know, there's this mom that needs, I don't know, I want to say formula for the kid, doesn't speak the language. And the interpreting work, it's very tricky because we're only there to emit the message. We cannot do, although I have information, I can't deliver that for mom because I learned that if I just tell her where to go, the service is going to end there. But if I tell her, if I tell a provider, that she needs the formula, then the provider is going to tell social work, and then social work is going to call, Franklin County or whatever other services. So I'm just kind of like that glue to the puzzle. Once I get all the pieces together, these families end up getting a lot more than just a phone number from me. And that's for every interpreter that's trained professionally. We are there to bring the team together based on the needs of the families. So that, although it's challenging, it's also very, very rewarding to know that someone's life is going to change with something so simple.
Yeah.
And I get to do that every day.
Wow. And I think, and thank you for sharing that, because I think there is, there's just such a heaviness right now. And I feel like there's such a heaviness right now. And I think, prior to COVID, I try to think back to what the world was like prior to what we've gone through with the pandemic. And, I think at that point, there was obviously a very strong hustle and bustle. Like I think back to the day we all kind of got the call that we had to stay home. And I, for a person, like me at the time, I was like, I got like 20,000 projects. Like my whole year was mapped out in a way that, I knew what I was doing month by month. And then suddenly to have to be in this space of pausing, initially I was like, okay, this will be over very quickly. And then when it just continued to linger, and then I would see how it not only affected me, but it affected my family, my children, my husband, other people, because like you, I'm also in the service realm, and getting the amount of calls that I was getting with people who are just like, I don't know what to do. And then we find ourselves suddenly just opening back up as if nothing had happened, even though we know we lost so many people, and the economy still is in a space right now where we're still trying to figure out what's happening, what's next. And yet, none of us, including myself, have really had the ability to process like how am I feeling? How do I handle what I'm feeling? And as you mentioned earlier, I think therapy is a part of it, like having somebody that you can talk to that's not, not in your business in that way, that can just give like sound clinical advice. But I guess I would love your thoughts on any of the listeners, or even just for us, like for many of us, we are still just trying to, I feel like we're just trying to get through the day at this point. What tips or what strategies do you have, or that you could offer for somebody who's just maybe at the beginning of being like, I'm super overwhelmed. I know I'm overwhelmed now. And like, what do I do? Like, where do I start? And what can I, little by little, because like now I don't want to also be overwhelmed and now go have to do like 10 different things if I'm barely having enough time to like just eat, So what are your thoughts? How can we start to address whether you've had this trauma or this anxiety or this heaviness even beforehand? What do we do just to get some to a point so we can get started to begin to heal?
That actually goes along with your previous question. How I handle all of that is making friends with the negative emotions, because they're also here to serve. Mm-hmm. We also want to chase away the negative, but we learn so much from it. Mm. We learn so much from anxiety. Anxiety tells us that something's wrong, that we need to slow down and maybe take care of ourselves, right? Depression just tells us maybe you need to rest and rethink things. Mm-hmm. So I see life in a different lens. Mm-hmm. And that's what helps me kind of not see the positive or negative, but just keep neutral, to where if I'm sad, I just sit down and I just cry, I just There's nothing wrong if you just want to, and I'm not promoting for people to be sad, but what I'm saying is just give sadness a space, and snuggle with your kid, whatever makes you feel happy in that moment. And transform that emotion, right? Don't chase it away because it's like a little kid that wants attention. So the more you chase them away, the worse he'll behave, right? Or you finally give attention to it and nurture it. Yeah. So that's how I see like any of those. And what's the best way to do it? Is just acknowledge it, nurture it, sit with it, and then transform it. I love the power of affirmation. And the one thing that I learned through my reading and practices, the subconscious and the energy doesn't read the no's and the don'ts. So always keep the affirmation in a present positive moment. For example, I am secured, or I'm going to be early today, or I'm going to be on time. I am on time. Instead of I don't want to be late, because then the subconscious is reading I don't, and then the late. So the word is so powerful, and we register that. Yeah. And so we have to start by changing our vocabulary, changing our affirmations, and really taking into account our words. Yeah. Because it registers in the vibration that we're in, and it brings back it's a whole packet. So something that's not going to take much of your time. It's just change your way of speaking and thinking, and transforming emotions, sitting with them. I have created the most beautiful pieces of jewelry that I can't even tell you what sadness looks like. It's beautiful, and feeling helpless is what created my entire collection of body jewelry that have been on runway shows.
Yeah. So and I think that's amazing to just share, because you have taken these moments of your life and you have used them to create beautiful, meaningful things that others have been able to wear and to see and to experience. And so for you, was that like that creative outlet? Have you always kind of been an artist? Or like how did you get to a point where you started to take the knowledge that you were processing and then transition that into a whole jewelry line and a store that you have here in downtown Columbus? Like how did that all happen?
I trusted the process. I genuinely surrendered. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. Surrender just means let go of whatever you think needs to be done or you need, and just let whatever comes your way and take a leap of faith. I always knew that we moved to Columbus with my mother to open a business. That was her dream. And no, I was the least creative in the family. My sister's a technical designer. My mother, technical designer. That's how she got relocated here with Victoria's Secret. Then my sister, it's packaging, marketing. They both graduated the art, in fashion, FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City. My younger brother, Derek, he's a DJ, sound. My older brother, he knew how to draw. So I was just kind of like, Darsy doesn't know how to do anything. And they will always make fun of me. It's like, so what do you do? And I'm like, I just breathe, I guess. But through loss, it's when I started sitting down in my dining room, 2015. I had a rough year because my life was just going. Yeah, I knew Reiki from 2009, and I did some meditation, did this, did that. But 2015, 2015, it's when it kind of hit me. I was going through a rough relationship, and my house, bills, my cat passed away, my dog, and it was like so much loss in like such a short period of time that it gets to a point where you just don't want to keep doing it. It's like, why, you know? And I will pray. I will pray. I have no background of schooling. I call myself an intuitive artist because it comes to me. It just comes to me in the when I least expect it. It's just this strike of, where is this stone? I have to put it on wire and I'm going to wear it. Maybe this is going to help. And with that, I started wiring little stones. And then, well, this wire, it's not really strong enough, but I don't have money for like silver wired. Oh, maybe I could just put in a silver fork, you know, and started bending forks. And that's my Feed Yourself collection. I still make a handful of those. And then I learned about guides that you have to either pick or they pick you during Reiki. And mine are the archangels. And the crystals, it always call my attention because of the metaphysical aspect of it. As a medical interpreter, it has to have content. Like, I don't get misguided by spirit only. I know the spirit is there. I believe in that. But for people to kind of get interested, I love to put them at the metaphysical, physical aspect of it. So I like the stones because they have minerals. They come from earth. Earth comes from God. And so the light hits the crystal goes through your skin, and it just kind of nurtures your well-being. And with that, I just put metal wings on that, and I called it the Archangels collection. And then the body chain was more about, I felt like I was in the Latino culture, being sexy or wearing a red lipstick or wearing high heels is kind of like you sending the missed signals, you know? And I just wanted to break free from those chains and those closed-minded belief system. And so the whole body and soul dresses, it's based on my evolution of breaking, those barriers, breaking the chains mainly. And it's really intuitive. Like, it just comes to me. I meditate, pray, however you want to call it. And then I have this need to create something meaningful to just honor that moment or honor the guides or the intuition that comes to me.
Wow. And I think, I have been talking with others about like, just like disciplines and routines and, just trying to be more intentional, about like, okay, how do I want to show up every day? And what do I need to do personally to prepare myself to be able to show up in a way that is satisfactory to me? And so would you say, excuse me, what is like, are you very, disciplined in that way? Like, does your day start a certain way? Does your day end a certain way? Like, what kind of disciplines do you find yourself being very intentional about day to day to kind of help continue to nurture, what it sounds like to me, like you are extremely intentional about how you want to be able to not just move through life, but to experience life. And I'm oftentimes I'm in these conversations with folks, or even just kind of processing from my own understanding, like, I don't believe that just happens by accident. I believe that there has to be, not necessarily a system that will fit everybody, but there has to be some level of intentional routines or processes that play a part in how we're able to actually achieve that. So like, what does that look like for you?
Well, it's very simple. Every morning when I open my eyes, I'm laying in bed. I just kind of like feel my body. And then when I sit up on my bed and I put my feet on the floor, that's all I need. Like, oh, wow, I can actually do this again.
Yeah.
Instead of like, oh, I have to do this again.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wow, my feet are on the floor. I can stand. I'm going to go brush, take a shower, head to work. I have this many hours at the hospital and then this many hours at the store. Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, I have this many hours on my brother's business because I run their social media and their PR. So my day is super, super long on the weekends. It's not over until like maybe 1:30, 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And then I have to be up and open my store at noon. That's on the weekend. But Monday to Thursday is kind of like, oh, wow, I get to do this again. So just keeping that in mind, being grateful that you have one more day. And some people are praying for one more day and you get to have it.
So true. Wow, you're so right. That's just powerful. Even I had a visual about just like even getting out of bed. And it's funny because I told Maylin the other day, I was like, I think I don't know what's wrong with me. She's like, what are you talking about? I was like, so I think this is like a week ago now. No, it has to be like 2 weeks ago. I just felt like that was just a day that I felt so grateful. Like I couldn't explain it. Nothing special happened, but there was just this gratitude and awareness. I think awareness, as you said earlier, when you touch the ground, you're like, wow, I can do this. I have a ground to touch. I have a bed that I just got out of. And I had just gotten out the shower, and evening for me is always my favorite time of the day. I'm not a morning person, but I'm working on having like that mindset of gratitude. But evening, something about the end of the day when, I get out the shower, the kids are all like in their rooms, like we've did today. I had on a pajama set that matched, right? Just like I had this set that my husband bought me like, I don't know how many years ago, but I loved this set, had the set on, and I went to the fridge and I got me a spring water. And I just remember as I was drinking the water, like the thought in my mind just came. I was like, I'm just so grateful. And she was like, well, what are you? And I was like, no, it was just like, it felt so, I don't know if I felt superficial. If that was what I was like, is this superficial? But it was just, I just remember when, I would just go to bed with whatever I had, and like a bottle of spring water versus just like, just being grateful for that moment in that second.
The little things.
It was just like, I couldn't explain like how I felt, but outside of just feeling like super grateful.
And it takes practice. If you do that every day, you'll see that it's going to become like a lifestyle. Like going to bed, I just think, oh, wow, I had a long day and it was very productive. Or, oh, I did nothing today.
Yeah.
And then I just look forward to getting into my comfortable bed and my beautiful apartment and, with high ceilings. And it's around the corner from my job. And from driving 25 minutes for almost 20 years, from Pataskala to work, to now I get to walk to work like 5 minutes around the corner. I'm grateful for that.
Right.
So it's just like the flexibility and the just ending limitations just by trusting the process. When they invited me, do this, do Fashion Week, do that. Fashion Week led me to the store I have now. I don't know what I was doing. All I knew that I was making jewelry, and the jewelry was actually the product placement for my services now. So people come to my store, they grab a piece of jewelry, and then they come for a Reiki session. For those that don't know what Reiki is, it's Reiki means divine energy. So it's just the divine guide, that comes through you. Reiki practitioners are just a vehicle to ignite your own power of energy, healing for every aspect, not just physical but mental. And so having storefront with a broom in the back and people coming in for every, mental anxiety, I went through that.
Yeah.
And I'm just happy to be able to guide them, with same thing, affirmation, color guided meditation, just like little simple techniques that you can, but mainly that, just being grateful for every moment that you have every day. It's the key to move forward.
Wow. Well, Darsy, I really appreciate you like coming today and just giving us, I feel like it was just such a refreshing reset and reminder about the power really of your mindset. Like, really just being able to think through your life in more of a, I wouldn't even say, it's just the examples you gave earlier. Like I get to I have the opportunity to, you know, so just the changing of the words. And I think that is so powerful. And like you said, it's something so simple, even though it's challenging to get into this new space of doing it, but it doesn't cost money, right? It doesn't take all this time. It's just day by day, just like practicing and doing a little bit more and a little bit more. And so as we get ready to close, is there any advice you would want to give someone who's just maybe, you know, maybe they're just at a point where they can't get out of this hole that they feel like they're in? What would you say, or what advice do you have for a person who is just maybe at the beginning, or maybe they just feel stuck in this journey?
For those who are around someone that feels like that way, just remind them that they're needed. Because sometimes we feel like we're not needed, like we just don't have a purpose. But when we hear that someone says, you are needed, we want you here, you give that person a purpose. That's all we need. We need a purpose to stick around. So when you give someone that purpose, they find a reason to stay. You know, I interpret a lot for suicidal kids, and they generally think that they shouldn't be here because they're not needed. And after they find out that the parents and everybody around them actually do care, then they just feel like, oh, okay, then I should stick around a little longer.
Yeah.
So you are important. You are needed. You are wanted. Find your purpose. And once you find that purpose, whether it is just making your spouse happy, or you'll be a good mom to your kids, whatever, be good at church, whatever purpose you feel that you have, right there doing the headphones and looking at the podcast, that's a good purpose, because you're serving other people, and that's what, you know, helps us stick around.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Darsy. I'm excited for all the continued projects you have coming up. I know you have a big event that you are co-sponsoring or supporting here in a couple of weeks. Do you want to tell our listeners about that really quick?
I am going to be part of the largest worldwide sound bath in the city. It's going to be held at the Commons with Home and Jesse. He's going to have singing bowls, and we're going to have about 20 Reiki practitioners doing Reiki sessions during the sound bath. So for those that know about the sound bath, it's going to be really exciting, incorporating the Reiki aspect to it. But a sound bath is literally just music in the background. You lay on your yoga mat or your blanket, and you just let the sound just like tune you in and relax you. And in the meantime, you can do your affirmations or meditate with color or whatever you like, and just be intentional for the music vibration to heal you and attune you, and just get you ready for your journey.
Wow, that sounds incredible. I'm going to definitely try to pull up, because that just sounds amazing. Well, thank you, Darsy. We really appreciate having you today. And as always, we, want to be able to wish you a powerful week. Certainly, we're going to tag Darsy in this episode. So if you want to follow her, get an appointment, stop by her store, we'll make sure that all that information is tagged. And, here at True Print for Life, we like to end our episodes in our own personal mantra.
It's bigger than you.
Thank you so much for listening today. We're excited, and we hope that you follow us on
Instagram, True Print for Life, YouTube channel, also True Print for Life. And make sure that you share, like, watch our videos. Make sure that you follow us on all streaming platforms.